We are live. How's everybody doing this fine day? I am here with Gabriel, our oftentimes sit-in for Mark. Mark is busy traveling. He is on the way to the Arnold Classic. How you doing, man?
Doing fabulous. You're expanding to international waters. I'm now your international reporter directly from the Gulf of
Nice.
America. This
That's
is a
right.
big
You're in,
deal.
so you're in Cancun, right? Oh, I
I'm in
love how you call it the
Cancun.
Gulf of America too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Right
yeah.
there.
I've been spreading the good
What?
word even down here in Mexico.
How are they taking it?
They don't care. They're the coolest people on the planet. Like they love Americans. There's no antipathy. All the whining is just, the same characters on Twitter, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It's like this weird thing. Like, so many people were freaking out about that. Like, you motherfuckers were trying to basically get us to call women chest feeders and shit.
Right.
And you're upset. You're upset about the Gulf of America. Like it's just I have so little patience for what is just obviously clear intellectual fucking bullshit. Like that. It's so weird. Like, remember when even just 5 years ago, shit, even just 3 years ago, 2 years ago, the left always tried to act like, well, we are more educated than you. Like, first of all, I was on the left and I have multiple college degrees, so I'm not necessarily talking about me, but like, they think they're so fucking smart. You motherfuckers couldn't even define a woman. Like, I mean, like, that's, I'm sorry, but like, once it gets to like, I can't define a woman, you're kind of fucked with me.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty easy. We could do chromosomes, we could do body parts, we could do, like, however you want to do it, but it's definitely not, Marvin, who decided to grow a beard and a wig and wear a wig at the same time. It's fucking weird, man. Weird,
dude. It's all just disingenuous BS, and we all know it. It's a filibustering tactic where they try to weaponize your morality against you, where they try to leverage your compassion and your sympathy. So all they're doing is they're just trying to derail you from staying on topic. So they're gonna, yes, they renamed every military base. They rename all the genders. They do all this stuff. Obama renamed the mountain McKinley in Alaska, and so we're just naming it back. It's like, obviously you guys do it, we can do it. It's the same thing. They're just pretending like they're mad, so that way you get distracted off of the next thing. The one thing that Trump is doing very well is he's just flooding the zone every day. So they can't keep up. They can't slow it down because it's like drinking out of a fire hose. It's brilliant.
Well, it reminds me very, very, very much of how they did 2021. Like, it was just like a blitzkrieg,
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, they're closing down the fucking pipeline. Oh shit, they're doing this. Oh shit, they're doing that. Oh shit, they're doing this. What the fuck? Like, It was like an everyday oh shit moment. Like, which is wild because like the stuff that they were doing was arguably like bad for the country. Like, oh shit, he opened the border. Like, technically, if we don't have a government that's not protecting the border, we technically, by our founding documents, don't have a government, because that's literally like one of the main things they're supposed to do. I mean, these motherfuckers were even arguing like a border is just an imaginary line. Like, that you're elected to fucking to enforce, you pieces of shit. Holy fuck, so crazy. So, how far do you think this is going to go? Because I mean, I don't think it's going to go far enough for me. Like, how far do you think like the freedom love is going to go? Because I don't think it's going to go nearly far enough for me.
It's not going to go far enough, and they're going to run out of steam. Because ultimately they're going to get to a point. It's just like, whenever you would watch a George Carlin special, at a certain point he's going to make fun of something that you like, right? And you have to sort of gird your loins for that moment. And the thing is, as they steamroll through these institutions and clean it out, people are going to get hit where it hurts, right? So there's going to be people in the Forest Service or maybe the National Park Service who are, Trump supporting normal guys, and then they get their budget cut. And the reality is, even if you understand it has to get done, it still hurts if it's you. And so that's going to start eating away at this alacrity, that enthusiasm behind what they're doing right now. So I think that's a part of the reason why they're going so quickly and so hard with the blitzkrieg, is because they know they're going to run out of steam. It's like pushing a boat out into water. You don't have sails, you don't have a motor, you just have that initial push from November, and that's all that you have. So it's going to start running out. It's just the reality.
So I'm thinking that like when I say far enough for me, for those of you that are new to watching or don't watch often or anything like that, I'm pretty strict, like free constitutionalist type person. Like one of the things I think that is hurting them already is this dilly-dally with the Epstein list and the Diddy lists, right?
Mhm.
And this is the main topic for tonight, but we're going to talk about a lot of other shit. But like, release the fucking lists. Like, we don't need no fucking hearings. Like,
No.
they're exemplifying one of my very serious problems with government, right? One of my very serious problems with the federal government is that for some reason you motherfuckers don't realize you work for us. You
They've
know,
totally lost
and
sight of that.
and both sides, like, we're going to hold some hearings. Like, fuck your hearings. Release the goddamn list. I would expect you to hold some hearings if there's people on the list that bought fucking children for sex, you fucking pieces of shit. You better do your goddamn job. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't already goddamn know. Like, there should be, I've had this thing for a long time. There should be no secrets from the government besides troop movements when in a time of war. Like, besides that, like, we should be able to hear every word. We should be like, there should be no closed door meetings. There's definitely shouldn't be a closed door vote. There's like none of that shit. Like, they like, this is our employees decided, they put in the basically in the handbook that they don't need to tell us shit. That's how we end up spending like $50 billion on fucking gay trans tiddlywinks in Ukraine. You know, like, like, it's ridiculous that we have allowed this to go on that long. That's another thing too, dude. Like, are you seeing a lot of people that are upset about this Doge shit? Like, I've seen a lot of leftists, of course, but
It's the typical commie activists who are, of course, screeching, because it's just like if you were dealing with a drug addict, son-in-law. The drug addict is going to be screeching when you try to get them into rehab, and that's just the reality.
Right.
Like, it's only atrocious to the person who's addicted to the status quo. And
Right.
what we're realizing, and look, I think all of us sort of knew this inherently. The government has basically just been a jobs program for woke commie activists. They've been siphoning our tax dollars to use them against us, and we all sort of knew it, but it's something else to actually see it in writing and to see these these private chats that are getting linked from the intelligence community, where
What the fuck, right?
dude, these are insane tranny activists who are engaged in like literal subversion of our government, and this is like the highest levels of power, and these are the most clandestine agencies. So to your point, dude, nothing should be clandestine in this country. Like you said, these are employees. Like, imagine if you hired a bunch of employees and they held a closed door meeting and kicked out the CEO and said, no, you're not allowed to hear what we're up to, and we're going to decide everything, and we're going to take all of your money. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, like, you're holding a hearing to decide whether you should tell your bosses something that your boss told you that they want. Like, this is where it, like, and I've been like, I know it's going to piss off a lot of people on the right, but this is where I've always been, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a leftist, and I'm not on the right. I'm not a leftist. I am a fucking American. I'm not America first. I'm America only, and that's how I've always been. You can find me on film 5 years ago saying that we should close all of our military bases and just line our borders with that military. Ain't nobody gonna fuck with us. We got nuclear weapons, the largest standing army in the fucking world. So if we had secured borders, and we would allow every citizen to, like, if we could actually get the government to not infringe upon our Second Amendment rights, because that's another thing too that I always say, that our government has no business knowing what firearms they don't even have business taxing that shit. Like, you shouldn't be able to tax a fucking right. You know what I mean? They're more worried about this than getting fucking water to people in Flint, Michigan. Fuck these motherfuckers, right? But this is where they lose me, right? This is where the right starts losing me again. Like, because now you're doing that fuck shit, right? Yeah. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm super happy that they're finding trillions of dollars of waste. I'm super happy with all that shit. But you're starting that fuck shit again. You know, like Tulsi Gabbard, you were talking about these people on those disgusting chat boards, right? Like, these are, by the way, these are people inside the Central Intelligence Agency, right? So here's my point. The Central Intelligence Agency either showed themselves to be too fucking incompetent to do the jobs that we asked them to do, which is central fucking intelligence of America, or they knew this shit was going on, which means they're disqualified from doing what the fuck we asked them to do. Like, the CIA should be absolutely dissolved if they were either allowing this to happen or, and people don't want to take it that far. People are like, oh, well, we're going to fire the people. First of all, you shouldn't just fire the people that were in those chat boards. You should read those chat boards and then file charges against everybody in there. They work for the CIA. Frankly, they're too fucking dangerous to be fucking out and about. There needs to be fucking punishment, you know?
Yeah, and this is the key point that I'm not seeing enough people address. I'm seeing a lot of firings. I'm not seeing any prosecution. And I'm sorry, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not enough, because some of the stuff that they're dealing with is like treason. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
like a misdemeanor or even a felony. We're talking about the highest crime imaginable. And yet they're just
Right.
letting these people go. Like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah. It is wildly unacceptable. And it's like, and I saw somebody be like, release Ghislaine Maxwell then. Like
Right.
we can't like I've said it for years. We have somebody in jail right now serving a 20-year sentence, which is way too fucking light. I mean,
Right.
the sentence should have been a gas can and a match. But like the fucking it's like she's in jail very definitively for this, for
Right.
trafficking children and shit to people. None of those people were ever fucking even mentioned. Like that's
Yeah.
the problem.
No
Like,
customers.
dear government, you guys are going to have to understand that like you wanted, like you sold us on we're going to get our freedom back. Part of our freedom is that shit can't happen to our fucking sons and daughters without somebody paying with way more than fucking 20 goddamn years. You
Mhm.
know, like the awakening I think America is going through is going to, if they don't watch it, quickly outgrow the fucking MAGA movement, because MAGA needs to fucking understand like it's freedom, like all of
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
no more of this bullshit. If you want to do just a little bit less bullshit, fuck off.
Yeah.
No more bullshit. We don't
Yeah.
need we
It's
don't need
like
just a little less bullshit.
they're driving the car off the cliff just a little bit more slowly. That's it. So like the left
Yeah.
was going 85 miles per hour off the cliff. They're like, well, let's just knock it down to 75 miles an hour. That's an improvement,
Yep.
right? It's like that's unacceptable. There needs to be a major course correction. Like, the CIA should not exist. They've lost the right to
No.
exist. They
Yeah.
obviously killed Kennedy. They've obviously
Yeah.
done all kinds of subterfuge to the last Trump administration. They're continuing to do it. I hope he's going to root it out this time, because frankly,
Mm-hmm.
his Rocky-esque 4 years out in the wilderness was the best thing that could have
Yeah.
happened to him. In retrospect, as
Oh yeah.
terrible as those 4 years
Yeah.
were, and as egregious as that was, it was the best thing possible. The question is, does he have the balls to actually do this? Like I said, all we have are firings. That's not enough. Like, you fire
Yeah.
somebody who steals a little bit of cash out of the register, but these people are allocating like billions of dollars to the physical destruction of our country. Like, all of those
Yeah.
BLM riots, that was all funded by our own tax dollars. It's
Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, those people need to be in like. And here's
Guantanamo.
my thing. But I'm not even a believer in that.
Right.
I don't even believe in that. Like, you
Yeah.
committed treason. This should be a very, very, very short sentence.
Right.
Once found guilty, the sentence should be like 15, 20 minutes, however it takes to reload.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's
mean,
it.
that's literally like how long it should fucking take.
Yeah.
Right. And people like, it's so wild to me, dude, because like, I mean, I know I'm a unique person and stuff like that. But when I say shit like that, most people like gasp. Like, are you talking about executing these people? Like, fuck yeah. I am they're fucking treasonous pieces of shit that were trying to sell off America's future. They basically tried to take over in 2020 and 2021. These
Hmm.
motherfuckers, with our own money, fucking censored us. They
Yep.
paid with our money. They paid X, or which was Twitter and Facebook. They paid to censor us. That's against, like, they paid to steal my First Amendment right away. You damn fucking Skippy, I think that they should pay the ultimate price.
Yeah.
Like, but then people, people don't understand. That's fucking treason. That
Yep.
is tyranny. The only way to root out tyranny is with a few grams of lead, motherfuckers. That's
Right.
it. Like, that's it.
And the
Like,
thing is, you're not speaking off the cuff. You're just following the prescription that our founding fathers gave us, right? It's
yeah,
just
mm-hmm.
that's the punishment for treason, right? The wages of sin
Yeah,
are death. So the thing is, people, I feel this culturally, but also politically and physically, that we today, we're not strong enough to do or even maintain what our ancestors did in building this country. And so when people
Mhm.
balk at you saying something like that, it just proves my point. They don't have it in them to do what those guys did. That's what they were willing to
Right.
do. That's how tough they were. That's
Yeah.
how much of a defined line in the sand they made. Like, this stuff is unacceptable, including our rights, which frankly, they're not even rights. Like, when you read the Constitution, the Bill of Rights is just a list of things that government is not allowed to do. It's just protection to
Hmm.
things that are inalienable, right? It's just natural part of
Right.
being alive. And so even the discussion of rights is like, the government doesn't grant us rights. The Constitution does not
No.
grant us rights. It creates shackles for government. We've had it
Right.
completely spun around where it's like, we're supposed to do whatever they say. It's the complete
Hmm.
opposite. They're supposed to be afraid of us.
Yeah. I say that all the time. The government should be terrified of us. We shouldn't be terrified of the government at all.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like, I mean, we've elevated these folks like they're royalty because we've allowed them the insider trade, and everybody knows that that's what happens. That's how Nancy Pelosi made her money. That's how they've
Yeah.
all made their money.
Yeah.
They all, Republicans, Democrats, they all insider trade, right?
Yep.
They shouldn't, them and their entire families for the entire tenure that they are in office should not
Yeah.
be allowed to be on the stock market.
Yep.
You
Period.
give that up to serve your fucking country, you
Right.
know? And not to mention that, but one more time, we should have a body cam on every single one of these motherfuckers whenever they take meetings.
100%.
Like,
Absolutely.
people think I'm crazy when I say that shit too. Like, but why the fuck not? Like, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of police officers daily wear body cams.
Yep.
Thousands and
Yep.
fucking thousands. There's only, there's less than 1,000 of these motherfuckers.
Right.
Right. And they don't even work every motherfucking day. Right. And they don't need to wear, if they're in their office, they don't need to wear the cam. How about that? We can just have their offices on 24-hour fucking, like 24-hour stream, because they should be on 24-hour stream, because nothing should be happening in that fucking building that that we don't fucking know about. Nothing, not a goddamn thing.
They're doing it to you, right? They're monitoring you at all times. And what is it that they always say? If you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to hide? The same goes for them. If you guys aren't doing anything wrong and you're not committing any crimes and you're not betraying the public trust, what do you have to hide? Like, this is the cost of having this authority, is that there's a lot of responsibility. Dude, you look at Dan Bongino, who far and away, that's the most exciting pick for me, just having been a fan of his for so long, and the way that he talks about the commies. But he's walking away from $4.5 million a year or more. He's just walking to go serve. That is an example, much like Trump.
Right.
Trump's life would be so much easier, and he wouldn't have so much damage to his business if he just, lived out his life playing golf in Florida. And so that is an example of actually sacrificing. Whereas these people who get a low 6-figure salary are somehow making 7 to 8 figures every year. What?
Yeah.
There's only one way you do that. There's literally only one way.
Yeah, it's disgusting that we've allowed it to continue. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. And that's the thing. We need to, like, I've been saying for a while that no matter what Trump does, like, Trump is not the answer. You get people, and for anybody that's like, oh, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback, just check my fucking feed. That's all I gotta say. I'm literally like Baldstradamus, fucking for real, right? but I've been saying for a while, like, Trump is just like a stopgap, so we the people can stand the fuck up and stop the authoritarianism from taking over, because that's what's happening, right? Like, people don't seem to understand. Like, nothing from the news can be believed. I'm about to say some shit that people are going to think that I'm being like overly egregious with, and I'm being dead ass fucking straight, right? Nothing on the news can be believed, because 75% of the ad revenue for the news comes from pharmaceutical companies. Have you ever wondered why they don't do negative shit on pharmaceuticals? Because they can't, because their actual boss, not the viewers, their actual bosses, the vaccine companies and the fucking pharmaceutical companies, that's their actual boss. That's why they're tripping out so hard about Robert Kennedy possibly making that shit illegal, because it would destroy mainstream media completely. CNN immediately out of business. MSNBC definitely immediately out of business. Fox News likely out of business. It would damage YouTube to the point where Rumble might even be able to fucking make a go at it. X would definitely be able to make a fucking go. If they would do video, they could destroy YouTube. Like once that's done, they would be able to destroy them. It's like people don't understand that like our government has been so totally corrupt for so fucking long, decades. As an example, I talk about this fairly often too, and this is why people need to understand why I'm really pissed that the Epstein list we don't have it anymore, because this is looking like just the same old. Don't get me wrong, I'm still happy with my vote. I'm happy with what Trump's doing, but this bullshit's got to fucking stop, because it's just like what I said. This is like, it's still politics. I just want America only. I don't give a fuck if we close every base, leave NATO, leave the UN. In fact, I want to close every base. I want to leave NATO. I want to leave the UN. I don't want to give any money to any fucking buddy that's not an American citizen in the fucking United States of America. I want zero illegal immigration. Zero. I mean, like, do you know how much Poland has? Zero. They have fucking zero illegal immigration. Do you know what they do? You know what they do for people that they find? They either deport them or they shoot them.
Yeah.
Zero. I want zero illegal immigration. I don't want to have to even think ever again that the government's going to step in and say you have to do something like wear a mask.
Right.
The government should not be telling us what we have to do. The federal government should not be telling American citizens what we have to do. At the fuck all. They are our employees. They don't get to be like, oh, you need to do that. I want to see the IRS gone. I want to see income tax gone. We can do this from tariffs and from a consumption tax. Like slap a fucking 6-7% sales tax on everything. Hey, I got an idea.
Absolutely.
Let's put a 0.05% tax on every stock market sale.
Right.
You want to see how that would fund the whole fucking government? Does everyone understand that? That would fund the whole motherfucking government. Like, and we wouldn't have to pay a goddamn dime.
Yeah.
That would fund the whole fucking government, but they don't want to do that shit. Like, it's the basic shit that they don't want to do. Like, fucking get rid of the ATF. Like, I'm happy that Kash Patel is the leader of it now. I'm happy. Yeah. Let's fucking shutter that motherfucker. It is literally unconstitutional at face value and just gets worse from there. Right? Yep. We've just allowed this shit to happen for way too fucking long. Like, our government's very clearly in bed with big food and big pharma. Fuck, think about this, dude. Let's think about this real quick. It has been widely accepted for fucking decades, basically, or at least 20 years, that the food pyramid is bullshit. Yeah. Like, the food pyramid from the United States Department of Agriculture is bullshit. Everybody fucking knows it. If you follow the food pyramid, you're going to end up fat with diabetes, almost fucking guaranteed. Like you're almost, especially in today's climate where people don't move around that much, almost guaranteed. If you follow the food pyramid, you're going to end up with heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and fat as fuck, likely. Yeah. So if we know it's bullshit and they know it's bullshit, we know that they're corrupt. We know that they're in it for big food and big pharma. So if we know that an entire agency in the government has been corrupt for fucking decades, that means the government itself has been fully fucking corrupt for fucking decades. Yeah. Because they don't even, it's not like they're like, God, we got to do something about this USDA. They don't even fucking talk about that shit, motherfucker. It's up to people like me and Mark and you and everybody, like, where we say, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be eating all these ultra processed foods. They might be killing us. And then we got doctors. I fucking got into it with a couple doctors on X here today because I called them drug dealers, because frankly they are. These motherfuckers. Hey, dude. I mean, to any of the doctors that I was arguing with online, first of all, I'd love to debate you live. Yeah. I hope you're ready to be professionally embarrassed, because I will fucking devastate you. But none of you motherfuckers, just about, well, I can't say none, but the vast, vast, vast majority of doctors are not fucking qualified to treat any type of metabolic disorder. You motherfuckers are literally committing malpractice by prescribing shit and giving treatment for metabolic disorder when you don't know how it's fucking really caused. You're never trained on nutrition and you're never trained on lifestyle. Most medical schools don't even have any nutrition requirements for med school. Think about how fucking corrupt that bullshit is. They're drug dealers, and it's malpractice every single time they fucking prescribe Ozempic. It's malpractice. They literally should not be treating metabolic disorder because they don't know how it fucking happens. They're not, well, I'm not saying they don't know. They're not trained on how it happens in the vast majority. And none of them seem to ever try to get lifestyle to change, because
Never.
lifestyle means that all of a sudden you're not going to be on medications. And our government should be the one stepping in saying, hey, you motherfuckers, like maybe you should tell them to go for a walk instead of fucking putting them on everybody on Ozempic. But instead, they want that machine to keep going. Watching all the Hollywood people freak out about USAID, that showed me just how deep the corruption is. These motherfuckers are tripping about that shit.
That's where their money comes from, dude. You know what really black pilled me? I don't think I could get more black pilled on the medical industrial complex. Did you know that there's a vaccine to prevent cavities? It's called the caries.
What motherfucker?
Okay, so it's called the caries vaccine, and like if you think I'm crazy, look it up. CARIES. This was developed. They started developing it in the 70s, and they got it to a point in the 90s where it's just a nasal mist spray, and what it does is it permanently imbues your saliva with the ability to kill the bacteria that causes tooth decay for the rest of your life. So look, the sugar isn't what's rotting your teeth. The sugar is the breeding ground for this particular bacteria that this vaccine kills. You can't buy it. You cannot buy it. Now, they'll make when you read the excuses for why this vaccine was never brought to market, it is some of the dumbest excuses you'll ever hear. It's like, oh, it's just not financially feasible. Are you serious? Like, if you were to offer every single American, hey, would you be willing to pay $300 one time for one nasal spray that's going to prevent tooth decay for the rest of your life, rather than having to go and pay the dentist for fillings and doing all this stuff for the rest of your life, right? Twice a year. Every single person in the country would do it. And every single person in the country could swing that, because, dude, it costs several $100s every time you go to the dentist. That right there is what, $90 billion. And you're going to pretend it's not economically viable to produce this vaccine? Like, there's only one reason why they won't release it. It's because they want you trapped. They want you trapped.
They want you to
never want you. It's unbelievable.
They want you to be able to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean, do you know how big of an industry the dental industry is? Huge, like enormous.
Massive. Dude, I never go to the doctor because, like, I'm never sick, and if I am, I'll take care of it myself. You just got to live healthy, right? I have to go to the dentist at least twice a year for the rest of my life. So it's like you are sort of captive to that industry, and they could fix all of this stuff for the rest of your life. But there's no cash in the cure. It's only in that permanent treatment. And so that's why they're never going to steer you towards actually fixing your metabolic disease, because it doesn't require them. It doesn't require any doctor's visits. Just requires a little bit of self-discipline.
You know, and I wish that, like, people could start getting there, like, because no matter what, we need to hold we need to hold this administration accountable. And I'm very happy with my vote. There's no, like, everybody's like, oh, you regret your vote. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Listen, I'm very happy. I would have voted for Donald Trump as soon as he got RFK on board, no matter what. But reality, literally, gun to my head, I would have not voted for Kamala Harris. It's just not fucking happening. Like, I mean, it is so, like, while I'm very elated with most of the shit that's happening, I'm just not pleased with how, like, some shit is obviously slowing down and doing some fuck shit. But there's no fucking way that our country could have taken another year, get alone 4 years of the bullshit that was going on. Like, absolutely none whatsoever, you know? And frankly, you know, we still need massive, and I mean massive seismic shift fucking change. We need to get rid of every old dog Republican and Democrat in fucking we need term limits terribly. You know, like, that's another thing too. They want, like, they're not going to vote on term limits. They're not going to give themselves term limits. Like, we're going to have to force that shit somehow.
Yeah, and I always find it funny when the left always tries to create this false dichotomy where they're like, oh, well, then you have to get rid of Mitch McConnell. We're like, good. We hate this guy.
Good, motherfucker.
And people don't understand this about folks like us. It's like, dude, I grew up a liberal my whole life. So my whole life, I didn't trust the FBI, right? Because they killed Martin
Yep.
Luther King. Didn't trust the CIA because
Yeah.
they killed JFK and started all these bullshit
Yep.
wars. And we also didn't
Yep.
trust vaccines because we were hippie yoga massage therapy people. And we
Mm-hmm.
went to the farmers market and ate organically. And it's so weird how they've completely inverted all of, like, my family, the people I used to grow up with in California. It's like they're now totally inverted and they're just suckling at the teat of big pharma. And there's some nuance with this stuff, right? So you always get these stupid people coming out of the woodwork. If Trump, it's really not Trump. It's like the people who he has to delegate stuff to who are kind of fucking things up from time to time. And
Yeah.
if we point that
Yeah.
out, people go, "Oh, are you regretting your vote?" It's like, brother, we're not in a cult like you. And
No.
so
No.
if Trump is singing the praises of the Pfizer CEO, we're gonna fucking boo him right to his face because
Yeah.
guess what?
Right to
We're
his
not
face.
lemmings. And the thing is, unlike other administrations, he actually listens to the feedback. So, for example, Elon's going to overstep, right, with how aggressive he's being. He
Yeah.
overstepped the Forest Service. He fired a bunch of people who are really, really necessary for like wildfire management, for forest management. And because he's a nerd and he never spends time in nature, he doesn't understand these things. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
We all raised a stink about it. And sure enough, a week later, they're hiring back all the people that they shouldn't have gotten rid of. So it's like,
Right.
good, asked and answered. It's really that simple. And so when
Yep.
we give some criticism, it usually gets listened to, but regardless, it's like, dude, we're not in a fucking cult. The idea that, oh, I regret my vote. Are you kidding me, dude? It was like, it was either this with the occasional fuck up and speed bump, or we just lose our entire country forever.
Right. And that's the thing, man. Like, I really think that we need to take a look at like the what's and the whys. Like, it's such a bad, like they promised to the release of the list, like on day
Right.
like day one, we'll release the list. Dude, I'm on day, I don't know about you, but I'm on day like fucking 30 something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. What's the excuse?
And yeah. We're on day 33. I want that fucking list.
Yeah.
Like I part of it, and here's the biggest part. I think that them not releasing it now is because it is going to be seismic. Like once it's actually released and the names are actually on it, who went to the fucking island, all that bullshit, then it's like, okay, now what?
Now what?
And that's what they're worried about is the now what? Because there's people I'm sure that are in Congress that are on that fucking list. Like,
Guaranteed.
there's shit that, I mean, on the Diddy list, they're talking about like the Obamas being on that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, by the way, did you see that like it's coming out that his birth certificate is actually forged?
I'm not surprised. Like the thing is, for the longest time, if you call someone a conspiracy theorist, really what you're saying is you're right too early. And like that's what we've seen happen over and over. All of this stuff eventually comes to light and is proven true. Trump was just right too early. And that's the reality.
Yeah.
And we're gonna find out. I hope we're gonna find out this stuff, all these things that we intuitively know, but we just want the receipts. Like we know who went. Like if you were to just carbon copy the guest list at the Vanity Fair after party at the Oscars, it's the same list as the Epstein list. But there's something about seeing it in writing, so these people can't like weasel out of it the way Bill Gates has somehow managed to weasel out of this, even though his wife said, yeah, I divorced him because he was hanging out with Epstein. It's like,
right?
How is he still welcomed in polite society in any way, shape, or form? It's unacceptable to me.
I don't know. And like it's like devious shit that like when you hear about how they operate in other countries, the Clintons, Oprah Winfrey, like when you hear about the shit that they've done overseas, like Oprah Winfrey ran a all-girls school that was almost surely a hub of child trafficking. You know, like
100%.
And when I say that to people, they're like, "Oh, come on now!" Like, no, motherfucker! Like, I knew that a long time ago. Like, I mean, like a long time ago. Like when I was still a Democrat, basically a long time ago, I knew that about Oprah. You know, and it's like when you hear about the Clintons and Haiti and fucking all that shit, like it's evil shit, like absolute straight up fucking evil. But then like you get people that talk about like the crazy suspicions, like they're drinking kids' blood and shit like that. And here's the problem. if you realized how crazy they actually all are,
Mm-hmm.
how they view like how they must view the rest of society, I can fucking believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I can totally see like they are like she's a Rothschild or something like that, isn't it? Like something like that. She's involved in that family. These motherfuckers are worth hundreds of millions of dollars on face value. That's not what they've got hidden from whatever USAID was paying. So they've probably got billions of fucking dollars, right?
Yeah.
They don't believe they're the same as us, and they're not.
Right. They're not. Yeah, and look, these people, they play by a different set of rules. And the thing is, like with some of those fringe ideas, look, the reality is, yeah, I could actually believe that they would do some satanic ritualistic stuff because, brother, I work in Hollywood. I've seen and heard, really validated stories about what these people do, and it really is on that level. These people are freaks. These are circus freaks.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff gets thrown in there. This is like, you'll see this even, you could argue with a friend or your wife or something. They will try to like rephrase what you've said in the most cynical way possible,
Yeah.
just to try to dodge the actual point that you're making. So they'll throw in these like super, super crazy over the top things and attach it to what you're saying. So like when we're saying, hey, you guys are going to an island and you're abusing children, they're saying, oh, they think we're like drinking blood and like doing all these ceremonies. Like, no, that's not what we're saying.
No.
Stick to the point. They throw that stuff in there because they want to try to invalidate what you're saying, make it seem all sorts of kooky and crazy, and they do that just to like muddy the waters, so that way people throw it out with the bathwater.
Which is wild, because that's another thing too that the right allows to happen, allows the left to do more than anything like that.
Yeah.
Like the left will say, like, "Well, you guys are crazy about this." Like, bitches, you literally thought that men could fucking give birth. Okay, like you don't forever like you forever don't get to play at my intellectual sandbox, like for fucking ever. Because even if you are smarter than me, you're able to turn that shit off to the point where you can deny fucking like reality to that stage. There's nothing anybody can say. It's the same thing when like I actually released an article and did a video about it. I won't ever trust anybody that talked about vaccine mandates ever again. Like ever. they will never ever be trusted. If you believe that there should have been mask mandates and vaccine mandates and lockdown mandates, if you believe all that shit, we can't be friends. Like, I don't get me wrong. I don't think anything bad should happen to you because stupid people need to fucking breathe too, right? But I don't think anything bad should happen to you. But I will personally never trust you again. Like, and I think the people that do trust these people, I think they're stupid also. Like, I mean, I really do. You can't.
All of the people and this is painful for people to accept because it oftentimes includes members of your own family. But what you have to understand is all of those people who went along with the lockdowns, the mandates, and wearing the mask, they're gonna turn you into the government the next time this happens. You know that, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
And this is the thing that people don't understand is they think, oh, they had this moment where they realize, oh, that was sorry, it got a little crazy. It's like, no. They have a fatal flaw and they're weak.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, they might have some sense of regret for what happened last time, but that gene is still in them. And they will be the first to turn you into the government the next time the government puts down some kind of crazy mandate. You cannot trust that. Like, you don't have to alienate them from your life entirely. You don't have to be mean to them. Just don't trust them. Like, don't be vulnerable to them ever, because they will turn you in.
They're not trustworthy. Like,
no.
They were perfectly fine at the very least. If it wasn't done in just straight up malice, which people are there are some people that hate Orange Man so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It is next level. Like, okay, he may not be the most likable guy, and I'm sure he says mean shit and stuff like that. But these people act like he has like hurt people in their family physically by himself on purpose, manually, like with his own two fucking hands. These people are crazy. Like crazy, and they've been brainwashed. I get it, but You
Yeah.
know, this is natural. This is natural selection happening. Like these are the
And
people that we shouldn't trust to make decisions no more. You
I
know,
look, I'm curious if you agree with me on this because my sense all along during the COVID stuff, like from day one, I was like, this is not real. Just this is
right?
very obvious. I think it was obvious to most people. And I genuinely believe that what happened for a lot of the folks who drove this on the left, the lockdowns and everything, their hysteria wasn't genuine because you would see them breaking the rules all the time. They didn't
Yeah.
care that much. I think they internalized subconsciously. They knew that Trump was streaming. He was like absolutely on par for reelection. The economy was like
Yeah.
absolutely toasting. Everything was good. We weren't involved in any crazy wars, and they knew. You even hear Bill Maher talk about it. We need the economy to collapse. That's the only way he's going to lose, right? This thing comes
Mm-hmm.
along, and I think subconsciously they recognized that the COVID thing was the Achilles heel. That could be the thing
Mm-hmm.
they could leverage to stop him, shut down the economy, destroy everything, burn the boats. Like that's all it was, right? And I think subconsciously, because they knew that was how they get Orange Man, they internalized this fake hysteria that they themselves didn't intuitively believe. They didn't buy into it, but they made themselves believe it because they had to. They had to sell it. It's just like these actors who get so into a role that they become the character.
Mm-hmm. You know, I can see that. I can definitely see your point by that. I agree for the most part. You know, like where people just got so caught up in it. I do 100% believe that they realized like, hey, this is our way to get Trump because when it first
Yeah.
started being released, even the World Health Organization was just like, it doesn't seem to be anything bad. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just a cold. Like they were just like, you know, like
Yeah.
no biggie, no biggie. And then they started overinflating the fucking death tolls. Like I
Mhm.
bet you, if we look at Trump's at 2020, if we look at the people that died on ventilators, right, and
Yep.
we put a factor of 0.95 to them for the people that wouldn't have died on, you know, if they wouldn't have been put on a ventilator, which is literally probably 0.95.
Yeah.
You know, like because coming from the dumbass meathead,
Yeah.
forced ventilation for upper respiratory virus that is causing a cytokine storm, which is an inflammation storm of the lungs, forcing air into there is going to kill them because
Yep.
it's going to blow their lungs up
Yep.
just by logic. You dumb fucks. That's why when they
Right.
were doing it, like they were like when Trump, you know, he was like, I'm going to stop GM from making cars and they're going to make ventilators. Like motherfucker, why? Like I
Mhm.
mean, like bullshit. But if you take that number and then we figure out a number for the people that just died because they're 110 fucking years old and got five comorbidities and like they just assumed that they had COVID. If we take all that
Mhm.
shit out, like if we take anybody that's over the age of life expectancy
Right.
out of the fucking equation, because the average age for COVID for death is over the age of life expectancy. Just for people that don't logic well, right? That means that you live longer getting COVID on average than not. The
Speaking
average
to
age, I mean, it's fucking fucked up, you know. So
dude,
of course, I think I realized they realized it, and they were like, oh shit. Like Matt Fauci was saying, like you don't need a mask. You don't need a mask. A mask.
yeah.
It doesn't really stop anything. It's not the protection you need. And then like 2 weeks later, he's like, oh, two masks. It makes sense. Wear two masks. Like what
It
the
was
fuck, you
it was
know?
all theater. It was all a psyop.
Yeah.
Like, and look,
Mhm.
I'm tired of being called a quack for saying that, and I finally feel like people are recognizing, yeah, it was all bullshit. Like you saw that article
Mhm.
recently where they're realizing that long COVID is really just damage from the vaccine, which we were all saying. It's
Mhm.
like, dude, long COVID's
Yeah.
not a thing. This is just long-term side effects from the stupid injection. But
Mhm.
like speaking on how you cannot trust doctors in the same way you can't trust, like all your friends who went along with this stuff, you can't trust doctors. I remember back in 2020, I happened to be taking EMT classes, and our instructor, who's just an EMT, he's not even a doctor. He's like, dude, you
Mhm.
can't be putting people on a ventilator. It's going to kill them. How does
Yeah.
this guy know that? And yet you've got all these prestigious doctors in Manhattan and at UCLA or throwing everybody on a vent. It's like, how how do you get I still don't understand this. How did they get past? They knew it's in their education. They know that you
Mhm.
cannot. with good, like patients with good tidal volume, you cannot put them on a ventilator. It's going to kill them. And
No.
they did it anyway.
Right.
This is,
Yep.
I honestly, I can't explain it. I literally can't. How does an EMT know this and doctors don't? It's BS. I
Well,
don't buy it.
to be real, I wasn't even an EMT. I fucking was administration in healthcare. Like I was technically part of the bloat. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Like I ran a lot of business. I ran like $100 million a year in business. But
Yeah.
the reality of it is, like, I was an admin. Like I wasn't a doctor. I wasn't direct care. I hired a lot of doctors. I fucking hired a lot of dietitians. I hired a lot of food service directors. I hired a lot of those people, and I sat on the boards for a couple counties in the United States to help write disaster policies, including like outbreak policies. So I'm very well read, very well studied, and I can be an administrator if I want to, right? Like, that's the fucking thing. And I knew immediately, like the very same dude, bro. I shit you not. When we were on that cruise, I was telling him before we got on here, he's in Cancun right now, and Cancun is where they canceled me from. Because that's where I found out that there was going to be curfews, and I posted something that I'm going to post up in a couple weeks anyway, because it'd be the 5-year anniversary of it. But it was March 13th, and I posted like, the government's not my mom, fuck a curfew, blah, 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 and they came and canceled me. But anyway, like I was doing some research to make sure we're okay, right? And I'm like, it's elderly people and fat people. This is a cold, this is a fucking cold,
Literally,
like
it's literally the cold.
When you figure in health, like and that's another thing too. At no point in time did they say, hey, maybe you should get some vitamin D. Maybe you should fucking get proper hydration. Go work out. Like, work out in your house if you don't want to go out. Get out in the sun. Like, do shit like that. They were like, no, stay inside. Gyms are closed. Order DoorDash and alcohol straight to your fucking house, and watch this fear porn that we got. We got a counter up here that tells you how many deaths there are. And then when the deaths slow down, we're gonna scare you by, now that we've got you trained to see the death number, we're going to show you cases, and cases is going to look like a lot more. So we're going to even scare you fucking more because you're a bunch of stupid ass motherfucking lemmings. Like, I mean, that's literally how the whole scenario went. And trusting people in the medical field, I've said it for well over a year now. The time of trust your doctor, that's fucking over. Like, okay. So you were going to be an EMT. I say this all the time. How don't we have informed consent anymore in healthcare? Like, there's not informed consent.
Not at all. Not like, it's not even remotely close to informed consent. It's the opposite.
No. Like, just so everybody understands, what I'm talking about is informed consent. Like, you go to your doctor, right? Your doctor says you need to be on this prescription for this reason. They need to explain to you in language that you understand, not using medical vernacular, because there's a whole other there's a whole other language that you actually have to take a class for when you go into any type of medical field called medical vernacular. Like, and I shit you not, it's like, it's a completely different thing, right? So you got to make sure that the doctors don't talk to you in medical vernacular, that they're breaking it down in language that you personally understand. They should be guaranteeing that you understand every possible side effect, every good thing, every bad thing, how long you're going to be on this medication, the ways that you're going to be able to come off this medication, the hopefully long-term outcome of what's going to go on about this shit. They need to make sure that you know every fucking thing that could happen to you on that medication in terms that you understand. So you actually fully understand it, because then you have informed opinion. So then you can therefore give consent. If they're like, hey, take these pills because your cholesterol is high, and then 6 months later you're like, hey doc, I can't get my dick hard. What the fuck's going on? And people are like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because men get really, really nervous when I say that. If you're on a statin, you're gonna be on the flaccid train before too long, looking straight up, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They got a blue pill for that. So as long as you're on the statins, they got a blue pill to make sure your dick can still get hard. So you're good. I'm sure it's not going to be a problem to keep adding medication after fucking medication, right?
Yeah.
It's that shit. Like, there's no informed consent. They got people so fucking used to taking experimental shit. It's wild. Like all the time, there's still studies going on about like these GLP-1s for weight loss, and they're finding new shit all the time. That means it wasn't tested enough on what it's being used for, you dumb fucks. It's so mind-numbing to me. Like, it's just wild.
Every new pharma product, every time I see it, I'm always like, all right, count down to those commercials that you see where it's some law firm saying, did you use vaginal mesh? You could have a
Yeah,
lawsuit. It's
yeah,
I mean, dude, it's like clockwork with all this stuff. And yeah, now we're suddenly seeing that people are going blind when they use Ozempic. It's
yeah.
dude, there's so
And it's
much
not.
work
It's
that
not.
has to get done, dude. It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, that's why we can't just be sitting down. Like, we
Yeah.
can't be counting the W's. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Yeah.
loving all the winning, and I'm getting a lot of what I voted for, and even a lot more of
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
even the entire just the openness, the
Yeah.
open discussion of not having income tax anymore and getting rid of the IRS.
Yeah.
People have no idea how much freer we would be without the IRS, because that is the true
Yeah.
thing that everybody's really fucking afraid of. That is
Yep.
the true thing that everybody's really fucking afraid of, right? So that's how they got Capone. When the
Yeah.
government cannot get you in any other way, they will get you with the fucking IRS. And
Yeah.
they have 17,000 pages of tax code.
Yep.
So if they wanted to fucking get you, they could
They can.
fucking get you.
Yep.
I mean,
And it's just
that's by design.
it's dude, the income tax is such highway robbery. It's like cutting
It
your leg
is.
off. It's like making you run a race and they cut your leg off. Do you
Mm-hmm.
imagine how much easier, how much more breathing room I would have if I didn't have to pay 30, 40,
Oh,
50 grand every year to the government? It's like, and actually
no
be able to
shit.
save for retirement and actually
Yeah.
build something. You have to
Mm-hmm.
work like 40% of your life is just going to government. And now we're seeing
Yep.
that of course, they're wasting the money. They could have been capturing this money in another way with a consumption tax or with tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing, like to your point about how you need to step on the gas, what happens with the commies is there's a ratcheting effect, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they never go back, right? So they push forward, they push forward, they push forward, they keep pushing forward. They're ruthless. They don't care how much you ridicule them. They keep pushing forward. And then when you get Trump 1.0, they stop, but they don't go
Mm-hmm.
back. Just like a ratchet,
No.
it does not go back once it gets here. And so then they just wait him out and then push it, push it, push it. And we're still here. We've stopped the ratchet, but we have not pushed it back at all. They're starting to.
Mm-hmm.
And so there
Yeah.
needs to be a very concerted effort to undo the entire ratchet strap. And the thing is, when there's that much tension on it, there's going to be some snapback, right? And that's kind of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. It's a little bit messy with Doge, but ultimately, you have to be very
I don't.
aggressive to undo a ratchet, you know?
I don't even understand why people think that it's messy with Doge. Like, okay, I get it. Like, people are upset that people are losing their jobs. Me, not
Mhm.
so much. Like, if you were part of the
It's,
government and you're like,
Yep.
if you were part of the government and you're one of these people, like a bunch of people lost their jobs because they moved away from their office area. Did you
Right.
hear about this?
Oh, yeah. And
So they moved away, and then they were told that they needed to go back into the office. And they're like, "Well, I don't live there
Mhm.
anymore." And they're like, "Fucking too bad." And then
Right.
there was other ones that were like, it will this will get in the way of my second job.
Yeah.
Of course,
Bro,
you should be fired.
I
You
talked
know?
to I talked to a buddy who's former FBI, and very recently they were like, I don't know why everyone made such a big deal about the lockdowns. We were fine. I'm like, yeah, you moron. It's like, you're a G-man. You never stopped getting paid the entire time. They shut down my entire industry. I had to take out a $500,000 loan just to stay afloat. I'm going to be paying that
Yeah.
off for the rest of my life, dude. So how
Right.
many people, like restaurateurs who got shut down, killed themselves because it was their family
Oh
business
yeah.
that they spent their entire life
Mhm.
building? And it's like right
Exactly.
now, they're getting a taste of what it was like for us when they shut us down, and nobody cared that all of us lost everything. We
Mhm.
lost our work, we lost our livelihood. They didn't care. And the thing is like there's a lot of dunking going on. I don't think this is a time to dunk on those employees. I think this is a unifying moment where instead of saying like, hey, you guys didn't care about us when government was screwing us, so fuck you. I think the right reaction is, guys, now you see what it was like for us to get screwed by the
Mhm.
government. We got screwed even harder than you and for way longer.
Yeah.
Now you understand. I hope you have some compassion for us next time, because guess what? I actually have some compassion for these people. Even though I know it has to get done, at the end of the day, it's like they are humans and they got to learn their lesson. We have to do this stuff. We've normalized too much abnormal stuff with government intruding
Yeah.
on our lives.
Mhm.
And it's when I
Yep.
say it's messy, like, look, man, I don't fully trust Elon. and I never will.
Yeah.
I'm never going to trust an
No.
industrialist who's got his hands in so many sectors of our daily life and wants to take away our autonomy with driving. He wants to put computer chips in your head. He's advancing AI, which is the destruction of
Yeah.
all humanity. I don't trust the motherfucker. But look, man, he's an imperfect weapon. And right now, if he's doing some of the right things, okay, good. He's like a rental car. We'll use him to get where we need to go,
Mhm.
and then broom him and never think about him again.
So my thing about Elon is I think very much the same thing. I don't trust. I find it impossible to trust just about any billionaire, including Trump.
Yeah.
I don't trust. I
Yeah.
don't trust any of them because they
Yeah.
don't view us in the same way. Like their lives do not mimic our lives at all whatsoever. They don't have the same thought process. They don't have the same stresses. They don't have the same lives. They simply don't. That and both of them guys are fat bodies, and I couldn't even imagine that. But I mean, I've been fat before, but I was still strong. They're fat weaklings. But
Right.
reality, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, Donald Trump plays golf." Yeah, I get it, but he's still fat.
Yeah.
And I'm proud. And again, one more time, I'm a fan of Donald Trump. Voted for him. Happily voted for him. Would have voted for him even without RFK and Tulsi and all those people, but definitely voted for him because of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't trust him either. However, like these people that are fucking beefing about. They're beefing about, why should I have to send an email to Elon Musk? Because he's running the Department of Government Efficiency. And very frankly, that's a department in the government that we run. So we want to know what the fuck you're doing every week. Like at this stage, with all the corruption that's been found, with all the bullshit from USAID, from the 2.7 fucking trillion dollars in fraudulent payments overseas from Medicare and Medicaid, 2.7 fucking trillion dollars. Like I have a firm belief that the 37 trillion dollars we are in debt is entirely corruption and waste.
Yes.
Like, I mean, entirely, if we were to find out about it. But frankly, as far as I'm concerned, every member of the government should have to fucking post an email every week that can be accessible by every fucking United States citizen, justifying your motherfucking jobs, because we pay your fucking salaries. And if you don't fucking like it, you should not be in the government. People like government jobs should not be so fucking cushy. There's too many employees. It was a jobs program, just like you said. There's too many employees, and their benefits vastly surpass private sector benefits. That shouldn't be. That just should not be. At all. Especially when you consider elected officials. Elected officials, it's not just their salary. Like, oh, we pay them $200,000 a year. They've got like a $5 million slush fund for expenses for their staff and shit like that. They also employ their chief of staff. For every fucking congressperson makes like $100,000 a year. Like each congressperson costs us like millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. And that's like when you consider their security, their housing, their fucking like their transportation, their everything like that. It's millions of dollars a year per one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, they should not be living that high on the hog. Like they should get paid. They should get paid the average of what the average pay in their fucking district is.
Yep.
Like, because then they're really in it for their fucking district. They shouldn't have a fucking slush fund. They should have to explain every fucking dollar. It's like, it's basic shit. Like it's basic shit that if me and you started a corporation, and we'd be like, hey, employees, what the fuck are you guys doing on every week? We want to know. And they'd be like, I can't believe I got to send you an email. Like, you're fired. Like, that's how that should be, right? Immediately, like, oh, you're fired. Like, fuck you,
Dude, I deal with this all the time. Like, I just had to do this while I'm driving to the beach. I had to have my wife write an email. In the film and media space, you're constantly having to justify your employment. So I always have to send a resume or sell people on why they should hire me. This is just normal in the private sector. And so pretending like you're offended by having to just tell us, what are you doing? Are you on task? Like, that's not too much to ask. The thing with all these people freaking out about Elon making these decisions is, like, again, like you said, like I said, I don't trust the guy, but I recognize that he's probably the best businessman in the history of the planet, right? And so you have to have enough humility to be able to admit that, like, this dude probably has some organizational wisdom that we don't have. All right, we have
Hmm.
to concede that. So if he thinks this is a good idea, we should probably trust that. Even if we don't trust him, we trust his talent, right? And see what he did with
Yeah.
Twitter. Like even with the dumb rebranding to X, he still managed to turn this thing around like almost immediately. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So like the reality is he's got some wisdom that a lot of us simply don't have. That's why he's so much more successful than all of us. And so we should probably trust that some of the stuff that he's doing, even if it's painful for these guys, like this guy knows more than you do. Just write the fucking email, dude. Get over it.
Right.
Have a Coke and a smile and go
Well,
get on with your day.
there's a big part about that is like there one of the thought processes is, and this is something so when I was in healthcare, I worked one company I worked for. We were basically hired in by different healthcare units, healthcare companies to run their entire nutrition departments, right? So I worked for basically this company where they basically I would go and get a contract signed. They would pay us X amount of dollars to run all the nutrition, everything like that, blah blah blah, right? And realistically, like I would sit down with these people and I would have conversations about like what I expect from them and everything like that. And they would all the time, every single time, there would always be kickback. Like, well, we're used to do it this way, and I would just be like, no, now you're doing it fucking this way, right?
Yep.
But one of the things that struck me, I did this in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, and I'm from there, but I did this in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, and I'm calling you motherfuckers out because I checked and the fucking my non-disparage agreement is expired. So so I can say I'm not going to name company names or anything like that, but people that are in the know will know. But so Allegheny County is like the most corrupt county in the fucking country. People don't know that. Like it's like it's where the mob still fucking like rules basically, right? And there is a large sector of organized crime that only deals with the unions. Like they're in the steel mill union, they're in the bridge
Right.
building union, they're in the pipe fitting union, and they're in the food service industry union and the nursing union. They control all of it, and it's all kickbacks and everything like that. And I used to make sure that people would like have to come if you wouldn't show up for a posted 2-week notice mandatory meeting, and I always had 3 meetings. If you weren't at one of those 3 meetings, you were automatically terminated. And it was because when I first started working there was so many fucking people on the books receiving paychecks that didn't fucking work there. They didn't even goddamn exist.
Like
You know what I mean?
Milton
Like
in Office Space.
so fucking many. And I think that's one of the things he's doing. I think like, okay, well, if you don't answer me by Monday, we're going to consider this your resignation and we'll just terminate your employment. So it gets rid of
100%.
anybody that's on the books that's not actually a fucking human being. It's just somewhere that paycheck's just disappearing into the ether. Because if people think that they were spending $10 million on fucking gay tiddlywinks from fucking Japan, then not having fake employees, you're an idiot. Like you're fucking foolish, right?
You are 100% right. They're not going to read the 5 bullet points that you send. This is flushing out the bots. It's just a primary filter to see, are you actually a real human checking your email and can you respond to it? It's just to filter out those people who have that fake job. That's it.
Yep.
It's flushing out the bots. They already have access to the entire federal database of job performance reviews. So every time, if you're a federal employee, you get a performance review at a regular interval, and it gets logged into the federal database. Elon has access to that. So if he wanted to review what people are actually accomplishing, he can already do that. This is just a bot filter. He's just trying to get rid of the bots, the human bots in our government, and just clear out that dead brush first. And then you can get to the point where you're evaluating, what do you do here?
Yeah, that would be the biggest thing. So we didn't even pull anything up. We just fucking shot the shit for an hour, which is fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah.
So hey, I don't want to keep you too long because you're on vacation. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. I'll be back tomorrow, and then when do you come back?
Come back on
vacation?
on the third.
On the 3rd. We'll have you back on after that week after. Okay.
Love it.
Because by then I'm sure there'll be more crazy shit. So
absolutely.
But I hope all of you had a good time. Listen to me fucking rant and listen to Gabriel rant. You can find Gabriel. He is the producer of Hot Shots, which is the most popular firefighting movie ever. What are you doing now? Where can I get a hold of you?
Just go to hotshotmovie.com. I'm working on a few projects that I'm on NDA for the next 2 or 3 months. So in a few more months, I'll have more to talk about.
Good, good, good. And then while you're talking to those people for the projects you're doing, tell them you have a show called Make America Healthy Again, where me and Mark Loveliner will get people healthy in a positive way.
Absolutely. I'll pitch it at the
people.
next meeting. Yeah, I'll pitch it at
Please
the next
do.
meeting.
Well, that would be fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. So everybody, we're about to leave you with an ad from somebody that's going to tell you about an amazing, amazing group of supplements to help you get healthy, stay healthy, and unfatten yourselves. So I hope you all have a great night. God damn.
The Holy Trinity Bundle isn't just about weight loss, it's about empowering you to find your healthiest, happiest self. Let's talk about what's in the bundle and how it caters specifically to our needs. First, we got Ember, which is not just any fat burner. It's also going to boost your mood, your energy levels, while also suppressing your appetite. And if you're worried about it being too strong, you can split the tablet in half to tailor its impact. Next, we have Alchemy NCT, which turns the carbs that you eat into energy and not fat. Yes, energy, not fat. This is our way of making sure that the meals that you eat contribute positively to your weight loss journey. And girls, we all know that we want that. And finally, no morbidity. This one's my favorite because it works while you sleep. It burns fat and controls those nighttime cravings without any stimulants, so you wake up feeling refreshed. Try it out and feel the genuine difference. Here's to new beginnings and real results.